They take them as newborns, infants from the families of Terra, children who had not yet spoken a single word. They carry them beneath the Imperial Palace into a gene forges older than the Imperium itself, and most of them die in the making. The Adeptus Custodes, 10,000 warriors, the greatest soldier the galaxy has never produced. Unbreakable, undying, absolute loyal to the Emperor of mankind. Their loyalty is absolute, but it was never their choice. This is not a story about devotion, this is a story about the most loyal warriors who ever lived, and the system that made them certain they could never choose otherwise. So stick to the end and make sure you subscribe. Let's begin. To understand what the Custodes are, you need to understand what was done to them, because the process began before the child drew his first breath. Newborns, handed over the gene forges beneath the Imperial Palace before they could recognize a face, before they knew what the mother is, before they understand that they were ever something other than what the Emperor will make them. Space Marines are recruited as adolescents. They choose, or at least they believe to choose. They retain memory of who they were, their homeworld, their families, their lives before the chapter. Their starters can fall. Half of them did. Custodes have none of this. There is no gene seed, no organ harvest that can be replicated 1,000 times. Each custodian is a custom crafted, forged at the molecular level. Every single one is a unique work of genetic art, and every single one requires a process so exhaustive, so punishing, that the majority of the candidates don't even survive. Think about what that means. The Emperor did not take teenagers who could volunteer. He did not recruit warriors who understood what they were giving up for. He took infants, and most of them died in the making. The ones that survived, they are the 10,000, the masterworks, the final products of a technology so ancient it predates the Imperium itself, and the survivors have no memory of who they were before. No name from a life they once lived, no family, no homeworld, nothing. They were born in the gene forges, they were reforged in agony, they were born again as custodians, and the person they could have been was erased before he ever existed. But the creation process hides something far more intimate, something that reframes everything you think you know about the Custodes. They were not merely engineered by the Emperor, they were made from him, from his flesh, his blood, his genetic material, shaped and reforged into living weapons. Each custodian carries a fragment of the Emperor's own biological essence within them. This is not gene seed, this is something older, something more absolute. When the Emperor crafted the Custodes, he was not creating soldiers, he was making an extension of himself, living fragments of his own being, given form and purpose and turned loose to guard what he valued the most. They are not his warriors, they are his flesh, working, fighting, dying in his name. And now ask yourself, when your body is literally made by another being flesh, when every cell in your body was shaped by his hand, when your very existence is impossible without him, is loyalty even the right word, or is something closer to ownership? Think about it. A weapon does not choose to serve the hand that wields it, it simply has no other function. After the Horus heresy, something changed. The Custodes, who had fought across the galaxy, who had bled and died alongside the Emperor's armies, were recalled, confined, forbidden from leaving the Imperial Palace. For 10,000 years, they stood in the shadows of the inner palace, watching, guarding, waiting. 10,000 years. Not as warriors, as relics, the Emperor's companions. But Emperor and no longer spoke, he no longer moved, and he no longer led. They guarded a corpse on a throne. They conducted blood games, security drills in which they tested the palace defenses by trying to infiltrate him themselves. They trained, they studied, they maintained their skills across 10,000 millennia of silence. But they did not fight, not as they were made to. The greatest warrior in the Imperium spent 10,000 years standing in silence, watching over a dying god who could no longer acknowledge them. They were not rewarded for this. They were not thanked. They were simply there, forever, because they had no other option. Because the loyalty that confined them to those halls was not a virtue they earned, it was architecture, built into them before they even existed. And then there is Constantin VALDOR, the Captor General, the Emperor's own companion through the Unification Wars and the Great Crusade, the one custodian who stood closer to the Emperor than any other, the man who was there from the very beginning, before the Imperium, before the Space Marine, before everything. But before the Custodes, they were the Thunder Warriors, the Emperor's first super soldiers, brute, powerful, unstable, and utterly loyal. They fought the Unification Wars. They conquered Terra in his name. They were the instruments of his rise. Without the Thunder Warriors, there would be no Imperium. And when the Unification Wars ended, the Emperor purged them. Every last one. And they had served their purpose. They were no longer needed, and so they were destroyed. Quietly, efficiently, by the very forces that helped them create. VALDOR was there. He didn't just witness the purge, he was the instrument of it. The Custodes, the Thunder Warriors replacement, the newer, better model, carried out the killing. VALDOR led them. He watched the Emperor dispose of his most loyal soldiers like broken tools. He understood exactly what that meant. The Emperor did not keep what he no longer needed. Loyalty was not a debt. Service was not a bond. You served until you were no longer useful, and then you were nothing. After the heresy, VALDOR fought on the walls of the Imperial Palace. He led the Custodes against the traitor legions. He watched the defenders die by the thousand, and when the Emperor ascended to confront Horus about the vengeful spirits, VALDOR was there. He plunged his spear, the Apollonian spear, into the floor of that traitor's ship to confirm his identity. He was there when the battle ended. He watched the Emperor carried back, broken, shattered, barely alive. The most powerful being in human history, reduced to a ruined corpse, the being whose flesh VALDOR was made from. And then VALDOR did his duty. Through the scouring, through the rebuilding, through all of it, he helped secure Terra. He helped reconstruct the palace defenses. Everything a Custodes should do. Serve, protect, obey, he did all. And then, late one night, Constantin VALDOR walked away from the Imperial Palace. He left the Apollonian spear behind, the weapon he had carried since the Unification War, the symbol of his office, his duty, his identity as Captain General. He placed it into a storage and walked away out in the dark. He turned back once, looked upon the palace for the last time, and whispered, "Only in death." And then he was gone. No explanation, no record, no reason given. The Captain General, the first and the greatest of Custodes, the man who had fought beside the Emperor since before the Imperium existed, the man who made his flesh and blood from his service, simply walked away in the dark and never returned. 10,000 years have passed. VALDOR has not come back. The Custodes tell themselves he will return. That a Custodia cannot abandon the Emperor, because it is not in their nature. It was removed from their nature before they existed. But VALDOR did not abandon the Emperor. It did not fall. It did not turn traitor. It did not renounce his service. He simply left, with his weapon on the shelf and 3 words on his lips. VALDOR watched the Thunder Warriors die. He saw what the Emperor did to loyal soldiers when they were no longer useful. He spent his entire existence as replacement, the newest model, the better tool. And then he watched the Emperor broken on a throne, the Imperium rotting around him, and the Custodes confined to 10,000 years of silence guarding a corpse. He did not rebel. He could not rebel. But he left. And maybe, the man who purged the Thunder Warriors, who understood better than anyone what the Emperor does to the tools he no longer needs, decided that he would not wait to be discarded. He chose the only form of freedom a Custodia can take: absence. So, what are the Custodes? The Emperor's greatest guardians. 10,000 years of unquestioning service. 10,000 years of no choice. 10,000 warriors who made from his flesh, confined to his walls, erased before they existed, and rebuilt to serve a single person they could never refuse. Were they the Emperor's shield, or were they his most perfect slaves? The galaxy will call them loyal. The galaxy will honor them as unbreakable. But the galaxy did not make them. The Emperor did. And he made certain they could never be in anything else. So drop your thought in the comment. And until next time, stay grim. Thank you for watching. Subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.